Alright, this is an asymmetrical shawl, and as you can see, I have done some other stitches on this in Eyelet. Here's some in gray, and then further down here are some in pink. There's several rows of Eyelet that make up the pattern in this shawl. Now, when you are doing something that's asymmetrical or triangular, you're going to have an even row and then an odd row. So the even rows are not a problem. In this case, the beginning with an asymmetrical shawl, you have an increase on one side and a decrease on the other. For this particular pattern, it is knit, front, back, and front all into the same stitch. So there are my 3 stitches. From here until the last 3 stitches all the way across, it is simply going to be yarn over and knit 2 together. Again, yarn over and knit 2 together. Yarn over and knit 2 together. So the yarn overs will form where your holes are, and the knit 2 togethers will be the spots in between it, like the bars in between the yarn overs. So I'm going to go all the way across, and then I will show you if you have if it's an even number that you're going to end on, it's not a problem. But if it is an odd number, you run into creating an extra stitch if you aren't careful. So I'm going to knit all the way across this, and then I'll show you what happens. On the back side, I'm now working on the wrong side, and I'm knitting back across. The front side has my yarn overs and my knit 2 togethers. You can see them right here. These are the yarn overs. This is the knit 2 togethers. The yarn overs tend to have a slant to them, and you want to follow the pattern that you are using. If this is, in this case, this shawl is all done in garter stitch. So therefore I'm going to use garter stitch all the way across the back. But some shawls or blankets will have a stockinette stitch on the right side. So in that case you would knit the border stitches on each side, on the front, on the decrease and the increase side, and across the back part you would purl until you get to the border here. But in this case it is just strictly a garter stitch. So I am going to finish this across. As you can see, if you were going to just put 1 row of eyelet stitches, then this would be the end of it. You would turn around to your front side and you would just pick up the garter or whatever pattern it is you're knitting from at that point, and you would just have 1 row of stockinette, and I will show you that in just a second. I'm almost done this row, and then I can show you what it would look like. Okay, let me turn it around here. This is the right side, and as you can see, you now have your eyelet stitches going across. You have 1 row of eyelet. You could pick up on the next row here and just begin doing the garter stitch like what is here, and you would just have 1 row. But if you want multiple rows like it is here, then you're going to continue with this eyelet pattern, but 1 row will be even, 1 row will be odd, and you'll have that extra stitch to deal with. Alright, I am on my right side again. I have completed 1 row of eyelet, This is my second row of eyelet. My first row ended in even stitches. So I knit back across and I have done, you can see that this is the knit togethers, this is the yarn overs. Like I said, they are always slanted. This is going to be an odd row where I'm going to have that odd extra stitch. So I'm going to knit over there and show you what happens here. We have yarn over, knit two together, yarn over, knit two together, yarn over, and this is where I would have a problem because my decrease on this end, this is still the right side of my fabric. This is where I'm going to do my decreases. My decrease is one stitch here knit, these two stitches knit together. If I do this stitch as a yarn over, I'm going to have an increase of a stitch. So what do you do when you have that happen? In this case, you do not do the last yarn over. You've got, right here, you have a yarn over, you have knit two together. This stitch here, that is the spare stitch, you're just simply you're not going to yarn over, you're just going to knit that stitch and then do your border row, which in this case is knit two together and knit one. And if you look down through some of my other eyelet lace in here, it really doesn't show when you have that odd number show up. You can see it in a couple places where it's just slightly thicker here. But like I said, if you had done the yarn over and do that one stitch, you have increased a stitch instead of decreased, which means instead of your work slanting this direction, it's going to go out this way or go straight up because you wouldn't be decreasing, so you're not going to have this slanted angle. So like I said, when you have an odd number, you're just going to not do the yarn over and just knit it as one stitch and then do your ending. And then when you turn it over, you're just going to simply knit it back across.